Like, you can be in the top league and you can drop down. So, like, if you compared it to us, like, the New England Patriots could be playing in, like, the beer league.
This is absolutely insane. No, seriously, utterly mind-blowing. Just when everyone believed the legal drama between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni had reached its peak boom, Blake's attorneys have pulled a stunt that has left everyone from seasoned courtroom veterans to celebrity PR experts utterly speechless. They're outright rejecting subpoenas. Not just any subpoenas, but court-approved judicial orders, targeting crucial communications and documents linked to the explosive PR battle raging beneath the surface of the Baldoni-Lively fallout. These files were expected to be either the final blow or a last chance for salvation, depending on which side you back. Yet now Blake's legal squad is flatly refusing to comply, claiming the subpoenas are either invalid, excessively broad, or violate privileged communications. Let's be crystal clear, this isn't a mere procedural hiccup. This is a direct confrontation aimed squarely at the discovery process itself. It's the kind of bold move that reeks of either sheer desperation or raw power. Blake's team is either trying to strong-arm the court into retreating, or they're petrified of what those subpoenas might expose. So, what exactly are they desperate to conceal? Insiders reveal the subpoenas seek everything from email exchanges with former PR strategist to influencer coordination to alleged efforts to pressure journalists into burying pro-Baldoni stories. And now Blake's lawyers are acting as if none of that should ever see daylight. The reason her team rejected the subpoenas even stunned the judge. In a jaw-dropping moment recorded in court transcripts, the judge reportedly paused for a solid 10 seconds before responding, "You're denying the validity of judicial subpoenas? Yes, it's that serious." This latest development has thrown the entire legal timeline into utter disarray. Depositions are being delayed, new hearings are being scheduled, and a fresh wave of outrage is rippling through Hollywood. Even Blake's closest allies are now whispering, "What is she so afraid of?" From powerful law firms on both coasts to tenacious entertainment reporters and celebrities who once stood firmly in VP Blake's corner, everyone is watching this drama unfold in real time with no clue what the next move will be. And believe me, this isn't just a calculated legal maneuver. It's a battle for contra-reputational, the growing suspicion that Blake Lively's camp might have far more at stake than anyone realized. So buckle up today, we're diving deep into exactly what was up and what Blake's lawyers are flatly denying, how the judge is responding, and why this bizarre legal gambit could backfire spectacularly in the most public and irreversible way imaginable. This case has morphed from a simple dispute into a high-stakes test of just how far someone will go to keep the truth buried. The courtroom fell eerily silent. Legal teams shuffled papers. Clerks stood alert. The judge leaned forward, fully expecting a routine agreement over the latest discovery demands. Then Blake Lively's attorney uttered words that sent shockwaves through the entire celebrity legal world. "We object to the enforcement of these subpoenas." What followed wasn't just disbelief, it was pure shock. Amid all the media-fueled drama and endless twists of this Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni saga, this was the first time Blake's team openly defied the court's authority, on not subtly but brazenly. Lawyers and courtroom observers alike were stunned. Subpoenas court-approved, a judge-signed orders demanding documents or testimony are optional. They're the lifeblood of discovery, the backbone that keeps cases grounded in evidence and not gossip. To outright deny them? To question their very legitimacy? That's not just bold, it's borderline reckless. Sources close to the case reveal the subpoenas focused on two explosive areas. First, every internal communication from Blake's PR team, email chains, draft statements, media strategies, and communications with friendly influencers who ceaselessly echoed Blake's public talking points. Second, an investigation into coordinated efforts with content creator CO Torres, a counsel who voiced support for Blake, often using strikingly similar phrases and hashtags. Some were allegedly paid or promised exclusive access. The court wanted to know, were these campaigns authentic endorsements or manufactured smear tactics? Blake's lawyer argued the subpoenas were overly broad, harassing, and infringed upon First Amendment protections of press and speech. But here's the kicker, most of these messages weren't press-related. They were private memos, non-disclosure agreements, paid sponsorship deals disguised as opinions. When the judge asked directly if Blake's team was refusing to comply, her lawyer doubled down. We challenge the legitimacy and scope of these subpoenas. That moment instantly made headlines. Some reacted in disbelief, others in ridicule, while legal analysts on TV and TikTok began dissecting the risks of such defiance. You can't just ignore subpoenas, warned a former federal prosecutor on a live legal broadcast. This could lead to sanctions at minimum and at worst makes the Lively team look evasive, like they're hiding something explosive. And that's when the media narrative shifted. Until now, Blake had enjoyed a protective glow of celebrity grace. Period, where her charm and polished red carpet history kept harsher questions at bay. But suddenly this wasn't an actress defending her truth anymore. This was a powerhouse legal team actively evading transparency. What were they so desperate to keep hidden from the public eye? Hollywood's response was immediate and sharp. Entertainment outlets, since hesitant to criticize Blake, began dropping pointed, thinly veiled jabs at the subpoena denials. One headline boldly proclaimed, "Lively's legal team risks losing credibility." A senior editor at The Hollywood Reporter tweeted, "I've covered PR scandals for 15 years, never seen such blatant arrogance behind closed doors." Even some of Blake's closest professional allies started to second-guess their support. A branding consultant involved in one of her recent fashion campaigns reportedly confided to a client, "She's becoming a liability. It feels like she's not just hiding something, she has everything to lose if this all comes out." Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni's camp maintained a calm front. His lawyers quietly filed a motion to compel affirming the subpoena's full legal validity and requesting the court enforce immediate compliance. No press blitz, no drama, just a sharp strategic legal move that made it clear who was playing by the rules. That silence spoke volumes. For months, Baldoni had been portrayed as the aggressor by some of Blake's defenders, but now he appeared the reasonable party, one pushing for truth, one with nothing to hide. Perhaps most telling was the shift rippling through the influencer network. Accounts that had once rallied fervently behind Blake sharing her healing journey, hoeing her cryptic quotes about emotional survival, flaunting perfectly timed red carpet shots, had grown suspiciously quiet. Engagement on her posts plummeted. Comments began to accumulate with phrases like, "Why are you hiding?" and "Just release the emails." Even Taylor Swift fan page, since staunchly on Team Blake, steered clear of the topic entirely. This was a subtle but significant crack in the once impenetrable media fortress surrounding Blake. Legal experts speculated that Blake's team might have painted themselves into a corner. Their refusal to comply risked not only a sanctions hearing but heightened judicial scrutiny. The judge could now demand an in-camera review of the withheld evidence. Worse still, the court might find Blake's team obstructed discovery, giving Baldoni's lawyers a stronger hand to push aggressive legal claims. "This is textbook overreach," said a UCLA law professor during an emergency podcast. "They thought they could control the narrative by stonewalling, but all they've done is trigger red flags. You don't deny a subpoena unless you're scared of what's inside." And just as the legal storm reached a fever pitch, another bombshell broke. One of Justin Baldoni's silent comebacks, a former assistant of Blake's, was reportedly contacted by Baldoni's lawyers and agreed to speak. No gag order, no NDA violations, just one person apparently fed up with the lies. According to insider, this assistant had access to internal Slack logs, media prep materials, and even text messages where Blake allegedly described Justin as harmless but useful. If true, this testimony could completely dismantle the emotional narrative Blake's camp has carefully crafted for over a year. All eyes are now fixed on the upcoming hearing, where the judge is poised to make a pivotal ruling. Will Blake's team be compelled to comply, or will this standoff spiral into a full-scale legal battle complete with sanctions, witness depositions, and possibly even contempt of court charges? Meanwhile, Hollywood watches closely as Blake's once pristine reputation begins to crumble under the relentless pressure of one disastrous legal move after another. Because the real story has evolved, it's no longer solely about what Justin Baldoni may or may not have done. Now it's about how far Blake Lively is willing to go to bury the truth, and whether her legal team will openly defy court orders to keep key documents under wraps. So what secrets lie hidden in those files? As the shock of the subpoena rejection settled and something even more damning started to unfold, Hollywood insiders began to quietly distance themselves. The silence from Blake's inner circle wasn't just awkward, it was deliberate. A calculated silence born not from loyalty but from self-preservation. Anyone publicly aligned with Blake, after such a high-profile legal stunt, was risking their own reputation and in an industry where image and association are everything. That's a gamble few are willing to take. Within days a subtle but telling exodus began. A top designer who had still, but it was too late. The court of public opinion had already begun to tilt even among previously neutral observers. Reporters started dropping phrases like Lively's legal meltdown and strategic stall tactics, clear signals that the medians cautious about casting judgment was now circling. At the same time, Baldoni's legal team prepared their counterstrike. If Blake's attorneys wanted to play hardball by refusing subpoenas, they would respond in kind. New filings were swiftly submitted requesting an emergency judicial review and including proposed witness lists featuring former employees still even Blake's ex-publicist allegedly tied to a hush campaign aimed at silencing pro-Baldoni voices. Online, this marked a turning point in the case. If those witnesses were permitted to testify and their communications entered the record, Blake's entire narrative could unravel. The emotional and psychological portrayal of Justin as manipulative would face legal and public scrutiny far beyond PR spine, especially if former insiders contradicted her timeline disputed. Her claims of emotional abuse challenged the leaks to sympathetic media. One insider even alleged that the assistant referenced in the previous hearing possessed voice memos recordings of coaching sessions Blake supposedly held before interviews rehearse, answers, and directing her team on which emotional language would resonate most. That's not trauma. That's calculated strategy. And if those recordings exist, they would not only be admissible, they would be utterly devastating. At this crossroads, Blake's lawyers faced a stark choice: comply with discovery, allowing the documents and communications to be examined, or continue fighting and risk complete loss of credibility in the judge's eyes. Either way, damage was irreversible. Public trust had eroded, celebrity allies were withdrawing, and the one leverage Blake believed she still possessed, controlling the narrative through silence and PR influences slipping fast. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni stayed silent. No interviews, no statements, no comments. His team grasped a vital truth. Every time Blake's lawyers panicked, obstructed, or dodged it, made Justin appear stronger, steadier, and more trustworthy. That's the reality of Hollywood legal battles. Fire never just about facts. They're about behavior. Who flinch, hushwo, hideswo, plays fair. And at this moment, scoreboard was not in Blake's favor. In the days leading up to the next hearing, Blake noticeably withdrew from public view. No appearance, no paparazzi strolls, no Instagram posts. Rumors swirled that her team had entered crisis mode, holding late-night Zoom meetings with crisis PR firms and brand consultants to strategize their next moves. But the writing was already on the wall. Denying the subpoenas wasn't just a tactical error. It was a catastrophic miscalculation that could cost Blake the very thing she values most: control over her carefully curated image. So now, question isn't just whether Blake will be forced to comply. The real question is, what happens when the truth finally surfaces? Because if she truly has nothing to hide, why risk everything to block the court's scrutiny? By the time the courtroom doors swung open again, the atmosphere had shifted completely. Tense, electric with anticipation. There was no longer any doubt this was a battle for control, for truth, and for damage control, and everyone was keenly aware of it. The press pool had doubled in size. Legal bloggers filled the back rows, laptops poised and ready. Even celebrity attorneys, unaffiliated with the case, took seats in the gallery, quietly witnessing the unfolding firestorm. All eyes were locked on Blake Lively's legal team. Echoes when attorneys openly challenged subpoenas, and court's next move isn't a press release, it's reckoning. And the judge delivered it in a tone that was calm but razor sharp. Addressing the courtroom, the judge declared, "The court has reviewed both the scope and justification of the subpoenas issued in this matter. I find no basis for their denial." And just like that, Blake Lively's stalling tactics came crashing down. The judge ordered immediate compliance, giving Blake's team 5 business days to produce all relevant materials, face escalating sanctions including hefty fines and potentially devastating evidentiary penalties. That was a game changer. Blake's team had worked hard to bury communications from PR firms, influencer campaigns, protected messages of an internal Slack conversations, now vulnerable to legal scrutiny and possible public exposure. The courtroom remained hushed, but outside of the uproar was deafening. News alerts exploded across the media landscape. Judge shuts down Lively's legal games. Blake ordered to release hidden docs. Baldoni scores major victory in discovery fight. For the first time since the saga began, even mainstream outlets like CNN and The Atlantic picked up the story, not as celebrity gossip but as a case study in legal maneuvering and reputation warfare. Backstage whispers turned into clear conversations. One showrunner reportedly told a colleague she messed up. You can't outmaneuver the court and expect the media to bail you out. Others speculated if the case could escalate into a perjury trap, especially if Blake's public statements contradicted internal documents or sworn affidavits. Even some of her own legal allies who had supported her early filings began to soften their stance. A respected civil attorney commented on a panel, "It's one thing to defend a client's rights. It's another to openly obstruct the process that crosses into bad faith." And that's exactly how the court was starting to see it, not merely as delay but as outright defiance. While the judge stopped short of outright contempt proceedings, she next phase would decide if Blake's legal strategy had crossed the line from adversarial to outright abusive. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni's team moved with surgical precision on public grandstanding. Quite Libby filed for expanded access to additional documents, especially communications between Blake's crisis PR firms and certain anonymous Twitter accounts aggressively targeting Baldoni's reputation. This move implied that Blake's team might have been orchestrating an online harassment campaign as part of a larger misinformation effort. If proven in court, consequences wouldn't be just reputational, they could be financial, opening the door to defamation countersuits and punitive damages. One legal analyst noted, if it's shown that Lively weaponized public narratives with malicious intent, this stops being a defense case, it becomes an attack with consequences. But the most devastating blow didn't come from the courtroom. It came from a leak. An anonymous insider at a third-party PR agency tangibly connected to one of Blake's campaign's leaked internal emails to the cut. The emails stated early in the legal battle contained detailed instructions on how to reframe Justin Baldoni's public persona using phrases like emotional volatility, manipulative charm, and soft boy gaslighting. The documents also revealed strategic coordination with lifestyle influencers to see talking points organically and tag each other to amplify reach. The problem? Those exact phrases appeared months later in Blake's official court documents. The implication was clear: the emotional narrative against Justin may have been engineered by PR first and only later folded into the legal case. Not only unethical, this raised questions of potential fraud, especially if it influenced sworn testimony. The public's reaction was immediate and explosive. Within hours, #Justice for Justin trended across social media platforms. Prominent feminist thinkers like Roxane Gay and legal influencers like Emily D. Baker publicly questioned the ethics of weaponizing victimhood for legal advantage. Even Blake's longtime supporters began rethinking their stance. And perhaps most shocking, Taylor Swift appeared to be stepping away without a public statement, but fans noticed she unfollowed several Instagram accounts tied to Blake's styling and brand team. Small in isolation, but in Swift's meticulously curated digital world, those actions spoke volumes. One pop culture journalist put it bluntly: Taylor knows exactly what she's doing. That unfollow is a message. She doesn't want to go down with this ship. By the end of the week, Blake Lively's position had deteriorated from bad to potentially irreparable. Her team had overplayed their hand, and the truth they tried to suppress was no longer hidden, it was being amplified by those who once protected her. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni walked into the next hearing calm, collected, and confident, this legal team composite posture unshaken. No drama, no theatrics, just a man following the law and letting the facts speak louder than any smear campaign ever could. In today's Hollywood, where authenticity is currency and manipulation is swiftly punished, Justin stood out as someone who didn't just claim integrity, lived it. And that, more than any court victory or legal filling, changed everything. Because when Blake's team denied those subpoenas, they weren't just dodging paperwork, they were dodging accountability. And in Hollywood, accountability is one thing you can never hide from. What began as a carefully controlled legal narrative has spiraled into a full-scale unraveling of Blake Lively's credibility. The courtroom drama owns a polished effort to protect her image, has exposed a deeper truth. When you try too hard to control the story, Real story writes itself. Blake's denial of subpoenas wasn't a mere procedural hiccup, it was a catastrophic miscalculation. It signaled to the court press and the public that something was worth hiding. And in Hollywood, anything sparks a feeding frenzy faster than the scent of a cover-up. By trying to block evidence, Blake's legal team opened the floodgates to massive reputational damage, from the judge's sharp rebuke to the exposure of pre-scripted smear campaigns. Blake has gone from victim to alleged architect of a dangerous PR strategy designed not for justice but destruction. Even more damaging is the deafening silence from her once loyal supporters, Desterns for longtime friendsel, quietly distancing themselves rather than being dragged down. While Blake retreats from public life and courtroom pressure mounts, Justin Baldoni emerges more composite, consistent, credible than ever. He hasn't lashed out. He hasn't staged counterattacks. He simply let Blake's moves collapse under their own weight. And now, with the truth seeping out, witness lists, influencer deals, internal communications, tide is turning. In an industry where perception is everything, Blake Lively has committed the one sin that cannot be walked back. She got caught not telling her truth but allegedly constructing one. And when the legal system catches wind of manipulation, it rarely forgives. What happens next could be monumental. Depositions are on the horizon. Witnesses are preparing to speak. Documents once deemed confidential will soon become courtroom evidence. Whether this leads to perjury, sanctioned harsh rulings, or simply a devastating verdict in the court of public opinion, one thing is crystal clear. Blake's efforts to silence discovery have spectacularly backfired. The one thing she feared most, the truth, is no longer under her control. As Hollywood watches, a powerful lesson emerges. You can control the headlines for a time, but you can't subpoena reality. In this battle, it's the facts, not the fame, that are winning. Now, as the dust settles and subpoenas transform from mere legal paperwork into symbols of shattered control, only undeniable truth remains. You can't spin the court and you can't silence the facts. What happens next? Blake Lively's legal team may have tried to block discovery, dodge evidence, and manipulate the media narrative, but the system pushed back. The courtroom doesn't care about red carpets. Judges don't bow to celebrity PR, and in an industry where image is everything, closing credibility is the most brutal blow of all. What began as a fight to protect a reputation has become a lesson in accountability. As more documents come to light, witnesses prepare to testify and the public watches with sharpened eyes. Some question rings louder than ever. What was Blake Lively so desperate to hide that she risked everything to bury it? Because in this game, it's no longer about who's more famous, it's about who's telling the truth. And if Blake's team is caught manufacturing it, just bending its consequences will be more than public shame. They could be permanent. This battle isn't over. But the facade is crumbling. And Hollywood never forgets who tried to rewrite reality and lost. If this is for a video, our closing call to action fits perfectly. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a trending update.